Hey guys, King Z and Winter Wolf here. Going to be getting into Winter's Watch, giving you the topics of the week. We're doing it now. Oh yeah, back in the saddle, freshly trimmed up. My man's looking pretty good over there. Less like a hobo, more like the guy running my show. Digging it.
New
What's going on, man?
new season, new haircut. You know how it goes.
So he's updated the look. He leveled up behind the scenes. He must have found enough XP out there on the road. He's got a big side quest coming up next week. So maybe making some alterations to some timings of things, but we'll let you guys know about more of that at the end of the show. Because, dude, I kind of want to just jump right into topics this week because I actually have some articles pulled up that I'm going to cite and call out from as I pitch you the topic and get your take on a couple of different things. And the first one couldn't really be more near or dear to either of our hearts, I think, because we got horror. We got legitimate horror in the box office right now. And no, I don't mean Barbie or numbers or Disney. I mean, like there was a legitimate, I think, highly anticipated in some circles horror movie that came through this weekend, and it kind of bombed. Like, I don't know if you've got a number for Last Voyage of the Demeter. Do you happen to have any numbers?
It did come in fifth on the box office. I think it made a total of $6 million.
Yikes.
Or
okay.
yeah, fifth. It came in fifth in the box office. You'll see it down in the crawl down here at the bottom. Let me get my finger in the right place.
Dude, that does kind of sting though. Do we know what the budget was by any chance? I don't want to put you on the spot.
I can pull it up real quick. Give me a second. That's why we're here. But
pull that up.
My big thing with this movie is that they're trying to make a movie off of 3 chapters of a short story. I mean, it's a very short story that they're trying to put a full length film. I think it was a total of 15 pages total short story that this is out of a bigger book.
Story by who?
That I don't know. We were talking about it because one of the guys I work with, he's a huge horror fan as well. He has a horror podcast or had one. Cool. And he was saying that, it's a short story out of a bigger book. Like it's like a total of 15 pages, and they try to make a feature-length film out of it. So that's on them.
That's pretty ballsy. That's pretty ballsy. I mean, you're right. You're definitely scraping for source material at 15 pages. I mean, it can be done. A short story converted to film. I'm thinking of things like Stephen King's 1408 made a pretty decent feature-length film, 10, 15 years ago with John Cusack. That was all right. But I think that story in that book, I think probably ran 30, 60 pages, as King tends to get a little verbose. But I had no idea it was a short story. I thought it was I thought it was lifted somewhere from Bram Stoker's book, like the idea of Dracula's origin. And in my own defense, I didn't look too deeply into it. I was just kind of sold on the imagery of Dracula on a ship.
So
and I thought it looked pretty good.
Yeah, it was an adaptation of the Captain's Log, a chapter from the 1897 novel Dracula by Bram Stoker. So it's one chapter of Bram Stoker's Dracula that they turned into a feature-length film.
They took the origin story effectively and tried to stretch it out to what, 200 minutes probably, or not 200 minutes, 140 minutes or something crazy.
Its budget was $45 million.
This movie's in trouble.
And it's made $8 million worldwide. It made $8 million here domestically and 400,000 internationally.
You hate? Oh wow, dude! Nothing international, huh?
Yeah,
like nothing. Wow. I hate to see that happen because horror fandom status aside, I feel like this is the kind of thing that tanks other things in genre from getting considered for adaptation, or even if it's something that's an original work. No one's going to put up 10 mil to make a vampire movie that you write now. Whether or not you got the greatest concept that people are just going to see vampire, the suits are only going to see fangs and bats, and that's going to be a wrap for that. And I think that's too bad because unlike the zombie genre, which my better half was telling me the other day, Daryl Dixon from Walking Dead has his own show coming out. I'm like, that's the 5th spinoff from a show that I thought people gave up on 5 years ago. Like, how are these things still getting made? What is it about zombies that keep getting done for like 20 years now? But I get one vampire movie, and like that's a wrap. I don't count Renfield. Those are comedy,
That's how Renfield kind of ruined vampires as well. And then what really ruined vampires was the Twilight series.
Yeah, and even if we wanted to split that hair down there, vampires, into teen stuff, or YA versus rated R, like hard hitting vamp stuff. Like what was that one with Josh Hart? Was that 30 Days of Night?
Yeah.
from like 10 years ago. So that's a heavy hitting, violent, kind of bleak. They could, I think a movie like that could be made, like I think a current, like a remake or a re-envisioning of something like Salem's Lot that plays on some psychological terror as well as vampires could play well, but I think it just doesn't get a chance now, given
And
the bombing of this movie.
I don't think it's really the bombing of this movie. It's just that the adaptation of movies is really hard. I mean, the adaptation of short films. I mean, it's been done before. I mean, and mostly from Stephen King. I mean, Stand by Me, short story called The Body. Maximum Overdrive, short story by Stephen King called Cars.
Yep.
So, I mean, it can be done, but the problem is that you have a lack of talent in writing these days who don't know how to add that extra filler to fluff it out to tell a story. And I mean, it shows in this. Like, you have good actors in this, and it's like they can only do with what they're given.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think a lot of what comes down, I'm just pulling up the article. I'm just going to, it's from actually just from Rotten Tomatoes, so just to hit these points. I think you're right when it comes to what you and I usually bitch about when we talk filler. Where you and I are looking for more things like connective scenes, where the plot still progresses, information is exchanged, goals and stakes are established. That's not filler. That's connective tissue that any good movie, book, graphic novel, comic, all that stuff is necessary. Filler, for those of you that are maybe a little less, a little more uninitiated, is when people just sit around talking about nothing that pertains to the plot. It doesn't fill in any useful or interesting backstory. It's just people. We make the joke all the time, King Z and I. It's feelings in hallways. It's feelings at the dinner table. It's feelings in the car. It's feelings on the basketball court. But nothing ever actually advances forward. But here's a take from Rotten Tomatoes, right? We get a 50% critic rating and a 74% audience rating. What do you make of that? Because Rotten Tomatoes, I feel, if for our validity purposes, it kind of flips back and forth. Yeah. What do you think about these scores?
I always go with the audience score over the critic score because I really don't care what critics say, even though technically we are ones now.
Right. But they're a-holes and they're disingenuous. You and I, at least we admit our biases and we try to call things down the middle where we can and acknowledge our own biases. Where it comes to military stuff, you point your stuff out. Where it comes to certain, social or political issues, I point my stuff out. We go, this is me, but here's an objective review about the craft and the merit of the film.
Yeah, and the problem with them is that they put everything up against stuff like Schindler's List and those some of the greats out there, Forrest Gump, Godfather. They're comparing them to them, and it's like sometimes a film is just a film for what it is. Now, there are some critics that actually do their due diligence, actually see the film, don't just go off trailer, don't just go off that. That's why I can't really talk about the merits of this film. One, I haven't seen a trailer, and two, I haven't seen the film. So I'm just talking about like how hard it is to adapt a short film into a feature-length film. And that was one of the things I was talking about with the craft. Like, when you're writing something, everything you do needs to move the plot forward. Each scene technically is its own short movie that has its own points that have to move the plot forward. Like, if you ever really watch a scene, you start the scene at the latest possible point you can where people are already in place, and then you're like, the last person's just walking up or something like that. You enter a scene at the last possible point, and then you leave the scene as the earliest point that you can, so everyone still gets the information.
Exactly. And that's like 101 as far as the craft stuff goes. But it seems like you're right. I think it's so it shines a giant bat signal spotlight on how the lack of that understanding actually occurs in writing rooms and in writing teams now, where such a basic tenet and understanding of what needs to create a solid foundation for anything that's being adapted, movie, screenplay, novel, whichever. Like, you need that foundation or nothing works.
So that was weekend box and off numbers, right? And we know Gran Turismo came out, and the early access was like one day, right? It was like just the 11th that was the early access day.
It made a couple of appearances up here, so I don't know if it came in and out a couple of times or if that's theater to theater, because I missed one day when I was on a mini vacation, and then I managed to catch it because it randomly appeared the day I went. Yeah, so I'm not sure what that's all about.
Because I know it's not out in theaters this week, until the full release is on the 25th of August.
Yes.
But it's already made $10 million.
I mean, there you go. And like, when we do this thing where we compare budgets all the time, like, you remember what's Insidious on now? 5, 6, The Red Door, I think it's 5.
Yeah, and it's been out for 6 weeks now, and it's made a total of $81 million.
That's what I'm saying. And I believe it made like 15 mil or 16 mil opening weekend, but its budget is only what, 40? So I mean, it recovered its loss, and it'll turn a little bit of profit for a studio. So it makes that brand of horror still more palatable in terms of risk for the studios going forward. So you're getting an Insidious 6, you're getting a Conjuring 9, you're getting a Nun 13, you're going to get your 87th Possession Exorcism movie, because those are safe relatively, because they can be shot on a budget that isn't $100 gazillion and hopefully hit at least a break-even point. But more than likely, in an established franchise, it'll probably turn a little chunk of change.
All right. Well,
So
I have the actual numbers here, so I want to let's play guess that number. What do you say the budget is?
Of Demeter?
No, Insidious 6.
Oh, okay. Insidious, Red Door, some decent cast, not heavy on the effects. I'll change my vote. I'm gonna go 65 mil budget.
Okay. And what do you think is brought in worldwide box office?
$135 total.
All right. So you're off dramatically on both of them numbers.
Oh, okay. All right, hit me. I love being wrong. Hit me.
First, I'll tell you what it brought in box office total, international and domestics, 185 million.
Okay.
Its budget was 16.
See, okay, so I got that. See, that's the one I got wrong, because I knew when it came out, people weren't jumping all over that budget to return ratio that's everywhere. Like, this is all people talk about now to make the points of what sucks and what doesn't suck. So yeah, Insidious cleaned up, and we're talking about part 6 or whatever it is in the franchise. If we go back to our classic franchises and check things out, I'm getting Friday the 13th part 5, not exactly a page turner and burning down the box office, but because it's shot on a budget, relative to the times, of like $1 million, when it brings back $2.5 million, people are okay with that, and they give you a part 6. You know what I mean? Like, that's really all it takes. But yeah, too bad for Dracula in this one. I'll probably still check it out, if it maybe in the theater if I'm bored one day and the family's out and I'm stuck at home. Well, maybe streaming, but I'm interested. I'm not off of it just because of it kind of floundered. I don't really care that much. It's my kind of movie,
Yeah, I'll wait till it comes to streaming, just because I just don't go to the theater all that often anymore, just because I'm working all the time. So especially with me going, what's coming up, I would be pretty much by myself for a majority of the time. So.
All right, bump me down a topic, dude. Let's get into the next one.
All right, so we've talked about our favorite people. Let's talk about some more of our favorite people. Henry Cavill.
We're going to talk about some more of my favorite people. So I didn't really give you the heads up on this, other than the title line right there. But I saw remarks in an article. I'm going to pull that one up so I can get a quote out of that too. I got an article here. It's been shared around the internet, all kinds of places. I'm going to take the quote just so they can get their credit, from fansided.com. But whoever initiated the interview basically cornered one of the producers of the Witcher series. And they were talking, of course, about, Henry Cavill, his outro, and what it means for the show. But there was one line in there that I thought really stuck out. And it's from producer Tomek Baginski's interview. It was in Polish in the outlet. I believe it's called Wyborska. My Polish is awful. I apologize, Polish fans. But anyway, the quote is, "The Witcher has already reached the level of Batman, Superman, and James Bond." And he goes on later in the interview to describe what he meant as having been, this is now a legacy mantle type of character, that it's so well known. The Witcher is such a piece of cultural phenomenon. It's part of the zeitgeist. It's part of our paradigm, that it's inevitable that Henry Cavill left as George Reeves did. And then we get Christopher Reeves, and then Christopher Reeves left and we get Brandon Routh. We had Adam West, and then we have Michael Keaton, and then all the other Batmans, and the 47 guys that have played Bond. Is this guy smoking crack? There must be massive crack involved in smoking here.
Well, I mean, if you dig real deep into it with the video game, how long the video game's been out, the 3 video game that's been out for The Witcher, 1, 2, and 3, and also with the book series that also started in Poland. I mean, it's based off of Polish folklore. Is the whole story of The Witcher and hunting down these mystical creatures. I could say it possibly could, but it's not that in American eyes. I can see internationally, but not in American mainstream audience, because once it goes into a very niche audience of video gamers, because a lot of people don't know the books. They knew the video game before they knew the books, but
especially Witcher 3. That put this IP on the map.
But over in Europe, they knew the Witcher stories as the books before the video game ever come out. So to them, it possibly could. And I don't know how many Witcher books are out there. I think I know of 3 off the top of my head, but I believe they have like a 12-book series total of Witcher books. So, and they were released over in Europe before they were translated to English here. So I could see it in a European type of atmosphere, but not in a mainstream American eyes.
Yeah, that's a super important point. I think that's a really good one that I did not consider. And that's why I have you on the show, because you give me these off the wall curveball angles on things. Because I read that thing and it was a laugh out loud moment, like a predating text and emoji speech moment of LOLs IRL. And I'm like, the fuck does this guy think he is, telling me that this show, because in my head, you know what I'm thinking, this show is now bombed so hard that we're clinging to any reason at all that we can justify or smokescreen having to change up our title fucking character 3 seasons into a show, when literally this show lives and breathes in a digital space. It lives and breathes on Facebook, on YouTube channels, and on Netflix where it streams, where just about everybody that follows the show is aware of the reasons, even though they haven't been specifically nailed down, of why Cavill's left the show and moved on.
Because Cavill's a true professional, and he won't share those stories.
It's an overwhelming number of people that know that, and a very small number of people that are either disingenuously saying they're going to continue watching the show without him. Those people are out there, I suppose. I don't buy it. Or even more disingenuous, the folks that think that he was somehow fired from the show or asked not to return because of diva status or anything like that. We know the truth because we've seen him in action in other IPs. No one's got a bad thing to say about this guy. It wasn't him. It was the writing team. It was the showrunner.
Even the people he was on the show with said he's just a true professional. And like a few things have come out, like he wouldn't take the character in certain directions because he knows the character. He's true to the source. Where one of the big one was like they wanted a physical relationship between him and Yennefer, and he's like, no, it's more of a mental seduction than it is an actual physical of them being together.
Yeah, I think it's just what shitty showrunners do, because we saw this with this is Lauren Hisrich over here at this show on The Witcher. But we've seen the same thing like from folks like Jessica Gao over on She-Hulk, which we've talked about a million times on the show here. You know, they say they like the source, they say all the right things to get the job. They say most of the right things in pressers early, but then when you see the finished product, they have nothing to hide behind. And what happened is they wanted to take The Witcher, like you said, in directions that King of the Nerds, Cavill himself, absolutely wasn't going to play along with. So he bailed. He played out his contract because he's not going to burn bridges, with other Netflix productions, because that would be stupid. He did his 3 years. He initially said he'd do 7. So at the point that it came time to renew, he walked. Who can blame him? Like, they brought that shit on themselves. I don't fault him for bouncing. But yeah, I just couldn't imagine. I can't imagine The Witcher being something that draws that same kind of ire or admiration in terms of on that level of like iconicness, if that's the word.
And like I said, it could be a European. I'm not familiar with theirs, but I don't see it in a US based audience.
Yeah, that super makes sense, in the same way that if there were certain Americanized adaptations of something like Cowboy Bebop or Death Note or some of these other animes, manga, whatever the kids are calling it these days, yeah, we get the crappy Americanized version of something. And so when stuff gets effed up, people here probably don't care because it doesn't rate as high, unless you're a diehard here fan of that stuff.
Yeah.
But over there in their particular niches and subcategories, you don't want to F that stuff up.
Oh yeah, I mean, I heard so many bad.
Level, right?
I seen so many bad things come out about Death Note here, and as someone who's never watched the anime, I was like, I don't know what they messed up. And then my wife, who was a fan of Death Note, told me like, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong.
That's how my sister got me with Avatar. I was like, okay, I mean, like, I could watch this movie and just tell you it's a crap movie, but like, she's like, no, these are the 47 reasons why people wanted to burn villages down and shit. It was that bad.
And I saw the animation after The Last Airbender, the M. Night Shyamalan, just complete destroying of the story.
Wow.
But yeah, I could see why a lot of fans, because of the story and the deeper story told within Avatar. So
gone, lost, awful. Hopefully, did that next live action, just as an aside, because they were doing another live action show of that, not a movie, and I think it was Netflix. Has that been done? Is that a thing, or is that a coming soon?
I still think that's a coming soon thing.
Yeah,
I
I
haven't
didn't think
heard
we.
anything about it, so
Okay, I didn't think we missed that. Yeah, all right. I think I'm good on the Witcher. I just wanted to point that out that I thought this guy was out of his mind, and King Z gave me an interesting side perspective on that. Nicely done.
tell us what you think. Hit us in the comments if you're watching the show. All right.
Appreciate it always.
If you're live, go ahead and hit us in the chat. And if it's after the live, go ahead and leave a comment down below.
Just leave something. Talk to us, Goose. You know what I mean?
Speaking of leaving something, let's talk about people leaving the DCU.
Oh, yeah. Because now, do you think the bus they put him on is one of those really nice, like, touring buses where, like, everybody's got, like, a double wide seat and their own table? Or is this like some Peter Pan shit?
Well, he's on the same bus that they did to everybody else. I mean, Henry Cavill sitting on this bus, Ben Affleck sitting on this bus, The Rock is sitting on this bus.
Ezra Miller's on the bus. Gal Gadot is apparently on the bus. A lot of that stuff from last week.
It's the James Gunn Express.
It's the at least I appreciate the statements made. But let me give you his quote too, because I'm big on quotes this week. I figured I'd have some tabs open. So my man's got a bone to pick with Hollywood garbage films the same way a lot of us do. So I think he was making an appearance. I'm just checking the site here. Hold up. I'm on entertainment.com. I think Levi made an appearance at the Fan Expo in Chicago the past Saturday, and he come out and says, I personally feel like the amount of content that comes out of Hollywood that is garbage. They don't care enough to actually make it great for you guys. They don't, he said to enthusiastic applause. He says, how many times do you watch a trailer and go, oh my God, this looks so cool? And then you get to the movies and it's like, this is it. This is what I get. And then he finishes up just by saying, they know that once you already bought the ticket and you're in the seat, they got your money. And the only way for us to change any of it is not to go to garbage. We have to actually actively not choose the garbage. It'll help a lot. And that's such a vote with your wallet kind of statement that I can appreciate it, because we use this in gaming all the time too. Like every year we get Call of Duty Madden edition, and the only thing that would ever interrupt that cycle would be if we just sat a year out. We don't give them the 20 billion copies sold and the $15 billion for a year and be like, no, you're trying to give us Modern Warfare 3 at $70 this year when it's clearly an expansion to Modern Warfare 2 from a year ago, which itself is just a ripoff of an original Modern Warfare from 2009. And speaking as an aside, the Modern Warfare 3 reveal was today. 16 of the launch maps for Modern Warfare 3 are the 16 base maps from Modern Warfare 2 in 2009. They basically just remastered the game from then and slapped a different cover on it. And like, oh, but we also introduced this little mechanic and this map for this mode. But the 16 core base maps for 66, which most people still play, in accompanying Warzone, are all the old maps you played on when you were like 20 and, starting out in the army, playing with your buddies. Like, they brought it back. So Zachary Levi is saying a lot of the same thing. Like, he says, you got to stay home. Thoughts and comments on that as a consumer of these things yourself?
Oh yeah, I mean, I completely agree. You definitely vote with your wallet. I mean, it's the same thing when you're buying, like if you want to talk adult stuff, buying stock. If you buy stock in a company, you're saying I support everything that they do. You vote with your money, and you are now an owner when you buy a stock in that. Now, when you're going to movies and stuff like that, this is the reason why boycotts actually work sometimes, is because if you don't go to it, they lose money. They have to pivot and find new ways to make that money back.
Just ask Bud Light and Target. Just saying.
I mean, it is something that you have to do. If you want things to change, the easiest way to make people change is to hit them in their wallet.
What do you think of his remarks just in relation to him being actually like in the camp? Like this likely has a direct impact on his workability, does it not?
He might not see any auditions here anytime soon, especially from a certain Mickey Mouse company. But I mean, pretty soon there probably won't be a Mickey Mouse company here if they keep doing the same track they are in like 5 years. So
I think. Do you think this endangers him just with companies in general? You say, does this endanger him for other Warner Brothers pictures? Does this endanger him in other? Does this endanger him anywhere at Apple with any of their original stuff? For Sony, like, does this kind of statement about Hollywood makes crap bleed out to everything, or do you think that the remark is definitely a loaded one that everybody will see transparently as being only the big two, the Marvel and the DC stuff, or the Disney and the Warner Brothers stuff?
Yeah, 'cause he has problems with Marvel too, because he said that Marvel lied to him as well, because he was in the Thor movies. He was one of the Thor's companions, and they told him that he would have a bigger role in it when he took the role, and then it found out that he didn't. And he said his happiest moments when they killed him off.
Because, was he one of the Warriors 3?
Yeah.
Oh no shit, I did. In my head, I must not have didn't make that connection. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he might have burned a bridge with both of them.
And then he was excited to play Shazam, which I think the first Shazam movie was outstanding. I really enjoyed it. It was fun. It was exactly what Shazam should have been, because Shazam is a kid who gets superpowers and becomes a grown man when he.
It's big with superpowers, pretty much. Yeah. It's Tom Hanks big with superpowers. I'm glad you brought up the part one, because I had here. He's got a next. There was a next quote down in the article. And I might. Yeah, he actually. The article just cites again Rotten Tomatoes here with the sequel, and versus the critic. The critic who we were talking about earlier with Last Voyage of the Demeter. The critical rating here was 49%, but the audience rating was 86%. And in my head, I think I kind of agree with you. It strikes me as a situation where I don't know what the critics thought this was supposed to be. So unless I get into some reviews and they're telling me, it drags for like 40 minutes in the middle, or, the CGI is obviously showing, wear and tear and it's no good, or somebody's specific performance is awful. But I mean, it's the same cast from the first movie. The first movie made it close to $1 billion, over $1 billion. It was in the billion neighborhood. It did okay. I'm pretty sure it made almost what Aquaman made.
Let's see.
Yeah, give me that number. Give me Aquaman 1.
Aquaman 1? I was pulling up Shazam 1.
Oh, I'm sorry, Shazam. Give me Shazam.
I guess it's this one. Worldwide, it made $363 million. 140 local, domestic.
Oh wow! All right, so maybe I mean, that is kind of a bomb then, I guess, financially, because there's a lot of CGI in that movie. So,
and now the second one, Shazam: Fury of the Gods, domestically brought in 57 million, and worldwide 132 million.
It was definitely the beginning of the end kind of thing for DC at that point. It's it was right before the Flash, and everything was souring already for them. All right, so admittedly, it made less than I thought, but I'm with you. I went into the movie expecting not much. I'm not a Shazam guy as far as collecting anything goes. I don't know too much about the character, but I enjoyed his performance. It did the found family thing, which is kind of tropey, but I like that. There was some pretty poignant stuff with like his birth mom dogging him and him having to like recover from that, even when he found her, later in life as a teen, and she kind of shut him out again. I'm like, oh, dude, that hurts. Like, that kind of stings.
Yeah.
There was some horror vibes in it with the ghosts that were at the board meeting. They were kind of the demons or whatever they were. Some good visuals there, I thought.
The Seven Deadly Sins.
The Seven Deadly Sins, right. I thought we were going to get more of that based on the post-credit scene that they had in the movie, but they went a completely different direction, I guess, with Fury of the Gods. But I would have expected more of that kind of movie coming from this particular guy, because he seems to enjoy the role.
Yeah.
And now he's as befuddled with this movie failing as I think The Rock is with Black Adam tanking.
I think, and once again, I think these are the sacrificial lambs that they threw out there to say, this is failing, we need someone new. And then that's to justify bringing in James Gunn and doing a full hard reset on the whole DC movie universe.
Well, let's slide that in right here before we move on to Prey, just to stack out the Zach Levi stuff, because like you said earlier, a bunch of these people are getting put on the bus and dipped out of town. It's A-listers. Ben Affleck, Jason Momoa, maybe back as Lobo, maybe not. That's all rumor mill stuff. Gal Gadot, you know what I mean? I hate Ezra Miller. I'm not going to include him. Zach Levi, probably not an A-lister, but he was big enough to get the lead in the DC movie. So they all get tossed on that bus out of town. The Rock's on that bus out of town. We got Blue Beetle coming up now. I was thinking about canceling the show tonight so I could go, but here I am, right? The movie's projected to open to whatever it's projected to open to. It's, as we've discussed before, deep down the roster of well-known DC characters, but yet Gunn's including this as like the kickoff point, hoping to maybe recapture the Iron Man magic that you and I have kind of kicked around as a concept before, the lightning in a bottle.
Yep.
And the more I get closer to this movie, Blue Beetle, and the more I hear out of the director, and to the cast credit, not a lot of things said from the cast make me not want to see it. Even George Lopez with some of his idiot viewpoints. I like them. I like the lead from Cobra Kai, but the director keeps saying dumb shit that I don't want to hear before I'm going into a movie that's already projected to open to less than 50 mil. Like this movie, I don't see how it wins. So, and if it's an obligatory loss at this point, do you think this comes back to bite James Gunn in the ass for making it the decision to be the official starting point of the DCU? Should he not have waited for Superman Legacy? Like his thing, the thing he's doing to jump off?
The movie's coming out, and I guess he kind of just had to own it. Like, he needed to rebrand everything, and he needed something to start that, why he makes his movie. So this could be that movie. Like, oh, he's like, this, it's like when you start a YouTube channel. Your first videos suck.
Your 140th video sucks.
Sometimes. And as you get better, it draws people in, and then you go back on, man, that was really bad, but I see how you improved. Maybe Blue Beetle will be like, oh man, I see how bad it was, but I can see how you improved with Superman Legacy.
I mean, hopefully. I mean, I guess I can give them a hopeful on that, but I think then is not the speed bump at that point the fact that they have to get out from underneath Aqua Douche 2 and the Lost Kingdom of Douches that comes out in November or whenever, December or whenever.
Oh, it's not coming out then. They're in reshoots right now. It's not.
I thought they had a list. I thought that was up. So okay, so they're reshooting that for the third time. That's going to cost them $1 billion total. You know, it just seems to me that like have the DCU let these two movies ride themselves out, however they ride out, flop or fail, win, whatever, and then you just plant the flag like the day after Aqua Douche comes out. You be like, okay, that DCU is done. Snyderverse is gone. DCU starts today. Superman Legacy is coming in a year. Peacemaker 2 is the unofficial start because that's a thing that they already have out there that they like. You know what I mean? I don't. It just seems like it seems borderline reckless to me because it is such an obscure character by most people's standards. Yeah. It seems risky. It does.
So
I'm not. Yeah.
I think it was already in the plans, and he just kind of just like you kind of just have to own it. You come in as a new GM, and there's just some players that you're like, we have him under contract for the next 10 years.
He's on that Bobby Bonilla contract. They're still paying it.
Yeah.
Still got 14 years left.
The greatest baseball contract of all time.
All time.
I celebrate Bobby Bonilla Day every year.
Dude, it's a ride. Dude, was Boris old enough to be his agent then? Is that the signatory there? Is Scott Boris the one that pulled that off? Super agent Scott Boris? Because it sounds like a Boris kind of thing. Yeah. All right. Let's get out the Zach Levi train. Good luck, outgoing DCEU actors. I guess I don't know.
And incoming Predators.
Here's another one that I feel like it's the right time. But I don't want to get my hopes up for this one either. So did you remind me? Did you see Prey when that came out on Hulu a couple years ago? Okay, do you know that the general, like the story and the concept and all that good stuff?
It's like set in like when natives were still in the United States type thing.
It's pre-colonial states.
Yeah,
and some kind of proto neophyte predator comes down with a more primitive weapon set, and he's basically working his way up the food chain. He goes from like rattlesnakes to bulls to grizzly bears, and then he's starting to do the trophy hunt with humans kind of thing. So it's got that. It's got a good coming of age story, has some gender role stuff that comes up. It's split the fandom generally in terms of messaging and agenda. I fall on the side of, dude, they put her through her paces. She got the crap kicked out of her. She failed 3 or 4 times on the way to getting, earning her stripes, so to speak. The ending was kind of dumb. How she defeated the Predator, that was a little bit unbelievable. But I mean, as a movie on Hulu, I don't regret having watched it. You know what I mean? It was a good, solid. I had a beer, I had some popcorn the day. You know, the family was out for the day. Watched it. It was grown up time, and I enjoyed it. I said after the fact, I wonder if it ended up on Hulu because the last 48 Predator movies that have gone to theater and the last 47 Alien movies that have gone to theater have bombed.
Well, I mean, they haven't done a solo Predator movie in a long time. It's always been Predator versus Alien here
Well,
recently.
we got Predator. We got what's his name? The guy that wrote the original, rewrote Predator. It was 2018, I think. It was pre-pandemic. There was a standalone. It had the guy that played the Punisher in it. It had I can't think of any of the cast now. It was bad. Why can't I think of the guy's name? He played the radio technician in the original Predator, Shane Black. Shane Black, who made all the dirty jokes on the chopper with Jesse Ventura. So they had it was like 2018, 2019-ish. But it was terrible. Like there's a pretty good review out there on a channel called Mauler. It's like a 90-minute brutalization of how bad it was. But Prey fared pretty well compared to other Predator and Alien sequels. And I keep lumping Alien in because obviously there's more Alien stuff coming out, and I view them as kind of parallel, equal franchises, my own sci-fi, memory bank. They're talking Prey sequel with the previous director and writing team. Nothing's been confirmed, but with my general feeling on prequels, I wanted to kind of get a feel for your general feeling on prequels and whether or not you think it's worth yet another throw of a prequel in this franchise. I understand you haven't seen the first one, so you can't really gauge it, but like where do you fall on prequels in general? And do you think another Predator prequel is smart, or should we just go elsewhere and do other things?
It's hard. Like prequels could be really good to tell that story. Mostly prequels are cash grabs because you're playing to a designated fan base, a designated audience, and you're just trying to just milk it a little bit more. But I mean, done right, you could tell a compelling story of something that you've never seen before. But when you get into the sequel of a prequel, it's like, is this a new jump off point for a whole new storyline that as it should be? It shouldn't be like, see, I did see them doing Predators through time. Like they did it back there in the pre-colonial. Then how about we do like Predator during like one of the major wars and like something like that. Or you could do it like in another area of the world that you haven't seen, kind of like different regions of like different predators, or it's like predators competing against each other who could get the most trophies type areas.
That's an interesting idea.
But
I could dig that.
If you keep trying to go back to the well, eventually it's going to run dry. And it's like, and this is something we've talked about before. I've talked about the great Matt Damon quote, like, you can't make original content anymore because they're not willing to take the risk due to the loss of money. Like, they're trying to do something that they're guaranteed that they'll get somewhat of a return on, because, and like doing like designated IPs like Predator, doing it like Alien, the superhero genre, the going back and doing like the 900th Superman movie.
Bankability is what you're talking about.
I mean, look at the whole Hallmark business model. Watch the Hallmark Christmas movies that come out every year. They have the same cover, just different people. And
they also have the same plot settings and dialogue if you watch a couple of them.
So
yeah, for sure.
But like it banks because that's what people expect. That's what people watch. That's what people like. You can't like there are people like us who are thirsty for original content. Something new, something we haven't seen, or a new take on something we've seen thousands of times.
That's how I think Prey ended up doing okay to that point.
And
we've seen the urban jungle, we've seen the real jungle present day, special ops guys. Pre-colonial, interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of like there was a 10,000 BC that they did. That was a movie that was pretty cool because we've never really seen them try to do something like that on a drama type base. We've seen comedies about it, but we've never seen a drama and stuff like that. So that was pretty interesting. And this, going back to that time, seeing how the Predator started on Earth, like his first Earth encounter. But I mean, why do we need to see it again?
Well, see, we don't. And I want to piggyback off of something you brought up in the middle of your analysis where you said, show me something from elsewhere. I don't know if you've seen this around because I know you and I sub to a couple of the same pages on Facebook and whatnot, like movie fan sites. One of the things that's talked about in those kind of circles, and people are talking crowdfunding and this and that, is would it not be dope as hell to see the Predator square off with like a Ronin type samurai in feudal Japan, like a samurai in disgrace who has to defend the master that he disgraced from the universe's greatest hunter. And in my the minute I read, it was a 2 sentence post on Facebook that had like a single picture of like a rain covered pagoda, and somebody photoshopped in like the silhouette of a predator on a rooftop in the back. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I've already written 45 pages of this. This is that idea. And I think you're dead ass right. They need to move, not necessarily, I mean, time periods to go along with it, but I think locations. They have to geolocate. I don't know if I need to see the girl who did a great job in Prey. She was likable. She was scrappy. She was afraid of things, and then she found her bravery. She had some skills. She sucked at some other things. The character's good, but I don't know if the setting is compelling enough, because there's not, like, when we do the modern Predators, we get them in science labs, in the jungle, in Los Angeles. We get them at Antarctic bases in AVP. We move things around to keep the visuals, like you said, interesting. Do I really need to see a Predator in the tall grass plains of like North Dakota again? I mean, there's only so many ways you can hide out. You know what I mean? It just seems like it's not a big enough change. But a feudal Japan idea, or somewhere in the snow, like somewhere up in Russia or something like that, early 19th pre-industrial Russia, something like that. That could be cool as hell. I think there's,
Victorian
like you said,
England.
that we could do Victorian England, flintlock, steampunk. So, dude, you want to go all the way down the rabbit hole. I mean, you go alternate worlds. You give me steampunk Predator, and I'm sure that's in comics somewhere. That seems like a Dark Horse Comics brand kind of thing that's probably out there. But I'd be down for that. Or if you're going to go AVP, just to push the Predators to the front, you give me the actual Predators teaming up with humans in a meaningful way, not just in like a cage match like we got in the AVP film. There's plenty of Predator books out there that have the different tribes or whatever they're called on the Predator homeworld duking it out for reasons. Like, show me some of that with a human in there for reference. I think there's life left in the franchise. It comes back to writing. The Predator movie I was mentioning before from like 2018. Like, dude, I'll send you the gift card so you can just rent it, because I don't know if that it's streaming anywhere. Dude, you just sit there shaking your fucking head for like 90 minutes. Like, spoiler alert, the main villain in the movie blows his head off with the plasma caster unironically. Like, it just happens. Like, he's just there and it just turns and shoots him. There's no reason. The Predator doesn't hot wire it back like he stole it. Now he's hijacking it, hacking it back, and he gets it to spit. No, it just happens. It's just a thing. Like, for your birthday, I'm sending you a copy. That's happening in a couple months. That's happening, because I don't know. I want more out of this franchise the same way I want more out of Alien. You know what I mean? Like, I need these movies to be strong again. I need these franchises to be strong again. But speaking of strong again, and now I'm going to do a segue. Bump me down to Ahsoka. Yeah. Deep breath, Wonder Wolf. Deep breath. I think this is the end of the line for me with Star Wars. I don't think I've said that before. I think I've just hated all their stuff, minus Andor and minus Rebels that I got too late. I think Ahsoka, if it sucks, is the end of the line for me, even bothering to watch this kind of stuff for the channel, because I just don't care. I mean, every week it's 90 minutes of watching it, and then an hour of sitting in my own thoughts about it and taking notes and thinking about shit to say on the show. Dude, I got a book I'm trying to write by the end of the year. Like, it seems like a time suck. Dude, where are you on your hopeful meter for this show specifically? Not Disney Star Wars at large, just this show.
This show, I hope, is a sequel to Rebels. I hope that it stays true to what Rebels started to pitch. I hope that Thrawn is actually as menacing and as evil as he is in the book, as cunning as he is in the book. I hope that I don't have to worry about Rosario Dawson. She's gonna bring it.
She's great.
She's
Everybody loves
she's gonna take whatever she's given and take it to another level just because she's that level of actress.
She's Ahsoka. She'll do. I agree.
Yeah, it's everyone else, and it seems to me from the previews it's going to be as Catherine, whatever her name is.
Kathleen Kennedy forces female. Is that where we're going?
Yeah, the Force is female. Because I think that's all the trailer other than phone.
Except for the guy with the orange lightsaber. But yeah, continue. Give me more on Ahsoka if you have other extended thoughts on the show. Because I've only seen the original trailer. I didn't watch a new one that came out, I think, within the last week.
Well, I think I have seen what Hayden Christensen's going to be back as Anakin, not Vader.
Yes. Yep.
Which will be probably in ghost presence talking to her.
I'm with that.
And we did see why she pulled away from. Maybe they'll actually connect that story because they never actually hit on that, and why she also bumps head with Luke Skywalker. I truly hope that they bring back new Luke. I think Sebastian Stan did an outstanding job being Luke Skywalker, and he could carry on that mantle. That is one of those iconic roles that we talk more that can be recast and live on, long as it stays to the true character look, like the short blonde hair, pale skin guy who lives on a desert world, which makes no sense because he lives on a desert world. He should be at least tan, but
transplant. I don't know.
I have a friend, like, he did spend 3 hours in a tanning bed, turn real red, and then the next day he's white, pale again, because he just doesn't. He just
go the other way with that.
He just doesn't tan, no matter how hard he tries. So maybe Luke is one of those. But I think they could save a lot of fandom with this if it stays true and actually delivers. The good thing is that I don't believe it's going to go the same schlop as the Marvel series, where it's only like 6 episodes and they have to tell a.
Oh, Jesus, like Secret Invasion? Oh,
yeah, like they put 10 pounds of stuff in a 3-pound bag.
Yeah.
Which I have a great take on that. I'm going to talk about in bonus about Marvel TV and stuff like that.
You going to touch on budgets by any chance? Because I wanted to just mention some of that stuff.
Not budgets, but more of just overall failure.
Yeah, no worries. I got a number. I got a number I want to throw in there when we get to that part. For me, I think you and I had talked a while ago. It was a couple months ago where I randomly decided, because I'm not a big animation guy. I like some old stuff, but it's usually like animated movies that I like. I like old Disney stuff. I like some of the old Rankin and Bass that did the original Hobbit cartoons, the Last Unicorn production. I like that. I like old animation like that, like the hand-drawn black outlines. It's not it's a cartoon, but it's not Steven Universe. You know what I mean? It's people look like people. They have unique facial features. Hair moves in the wind. You know what I'm talking about. You're my age, So I never watched the Clone Wars. Isolated episodes here and there when buddies were watching it, like roommates. Obviously never watched Rebels. I haven't watched Bad Batch. I don't know anything about any of these shows except superficial stuff. But I watched Rebels because a couple of people sold it to me as being pretty solid and typically more in line with the stuff I want out of Star Wars. You got a hero's journey. You got a likable main character in Ezra Bridger, who's kind of like he's Aladdin in Star Wars. He's a street rat, but he's got a heart of gold kind of thing, but he looks out for himself. It's got the disgruntled mentor in Kanan. Oh, I failed at having an apprentice before and people died. I can't be responsible for anybody but me, but I can be a leader of mercenaries because you all chose to be here, blah, blah, blah. But I still secretly care about all of you. You know what I mean? Like, I like that. He's not a punk like how they did Luke Skywalker, or how they did, in my opinion, Indiana Jones, or all the other guys that I complain about. Kanan wasn't that, Captain of the Ghost, Hera, badass pilot, soft side for Kanan, soft side for Sabine, soft side for Ezra. She's actually a woman. You know what I mean? Like it textbook example of what we complain about, how you can write a woman who's handy with a blaster, but her first impulse isn't to blow everything up and throw fists. You know what I mean? But she's the fucking pilot, and she's technically the leader of the group. She's the ranking officer of the group, and nobody cared. Nobody cared, And they just have other characters that have well-written personalities and well-written goals and desires and interesting backstories and things like that. Like Zeb's backstory about his planet is interesting because it's different than everybody else's. And they juxtapose him with the, the Empire guy that eventually befriends him. You know what I mean? Like when they get stuck in one episode, they get stuck in one of those survival against the element episodes where one of them's wounded, but they need to rely on each other kind of thing. And it was all very complex and nuanced and well done. Everybody's tried to sell this Ahsoka show to me as a sequel to Rebels. I'll cross every effing finger on the planet that that's how this show goes down, but I don't think it's going to be. The more I see out of the trailers, and the more I think about how they basically jacked the heir to the Empire situation that they're using. Did I just go on Google Maps? What's going on there? Anyway, hopefully you didn't compromise your position. If they're doing heir to the Empire, do they have room to do anything with Kanan, who, spoiler alert, by the end of Rebels, has crossed over into the Force? He's doing like the primal spirit of the Force thing. And Ezra Bridger's basically MIA because he saved the Rebel base from like destruction by a hyperspace jumping with Thrawn somewhere else. So I mean, maybe in their continuity, because he jumped elsewhere with Thrawn, he'll come back or be found with him. But I don't even know if they've cast somebody in his role. I think they did.
They did. They cast the guy who played Aladdin in the live action Aladdin.
That's right. They did cast him. But have you seen him in any of the trailers? Like I've seen, like you said, I've seen the Force's female trailer and the not Jedi, not Sith guy with the orange lightsaber, which kind of looks cool. I'll give him that. Orange is a pretty dope color.
I'm liking the colors of the lightsabers in this, like with Ahsoka's white lightsabers, his with the orange. I mean, you're getting some new looks to the lightsabers, which is pretty cool.
You're getting the Inquisitor one that spins and everything. I saw that. Yeah. I think I did see the most recent trailer. So, I mean, yes, it's got its visuals. It's got some people in the cast, but I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, how nervous are you that in however many episodes they have, they can do Heir to the Empire justice? That's 3 books. That's 3 full-length novels. We're talking what? 900 pages minimum, 1,000. I mean, they got to be at least 300 apiece. They're traditional sci-fi novels. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's one Game of Thrones or one Patrick Rothfuss, but that's neither here nor there because neither of those guys can finish anything. That's a roast. Oh. That's right. That's a roast. Dude, you weren't getting out of here without a roast on either of those dipshits. That's a winter wolf maneuver. That's like a signature fatality at this point.
At least George R.R. Martin is moving forward.
Allegedly, dude, it's been 12 years. Moving where? What's he moving exactly?
Well, I mean, recently, there's a lot of news recently about him moving forward. Unlike Rothfuss, who's he's talking about a whole new series that he wants to do now. And
that's King Dick energy right there. That's a dick move you don't live down. No one buys that series, I don't think.
No, I think he's done. I mean, let me say it once, and I'll say it really loud. No one's work is anyone else's right. But when you make a promise by starting a series and saying you will have a third, and now he says he wants to do a 4th book in the series, and
Pump the brake, homie.
And that this whole series is a is a prologue to a deeper series. It's like, dude, who are you going to hire to write it for you? Because you're going to be dead. You don't take the best care of yourself. You always complain about problems that you're going through. So you're never going to finish this. So stop making promises your hands aren't going to cash.
Yeah. Do it for real. At least I'll say on the Martin front, I've been told it's out there somewhere on the internet that his historical policy of if I die during the writing of A Song of Fire and Ice or whatever, Ice and Fire, however it goes, there won't be a ghost writer coming in Sanderson style like on Wheel of Time, where that was a brilliant maneuver by the estate over there to get a series done that has a massive fan background in it. And I feel like the family wanted that done to honor a memory kind of thing. And he was in it. That was his wish. So they did that. Martin, I believe, has recently reversed that decision and said, maybe we'll put up a ghostwriter to finish. What's this one here? Is this Dance with Dragons? Is that the one we're waiting for? And then A Dream of Spring would be.
No, this one is a winter. Winter something.
Winds of Winter. Oh, you're right. Winds of Winter. Dance with Dragons is the one that's done.
Yeah.
That was the last one. Winds of Winter is next. He's been stuck on that for like 12 years, literally. And then there's supposed to be A Dream of Spring is supposed to be the wrap up. There's supposed to be one more full book after the one that was taken 12 years. And I think that this dude's somewhere in his like mid 70s. So I think he's seeing the writing on the wall. And and he's like, maybe I should bang that out with somebody that could probably do it justice, and then generational wealth for like 42 more generations.
Yeah.
But that was our book detour. I just want to we'll wrap up on Ahsoka real quick so we can get into King's E's bonus. If this show sucks, right? Let's say we get 10 episodes. Let me frame this for you. We get 10 episodes. They average 35 to 42 minutes. This like watch time, not credits and all that other bullshit out. You get 40 minutes, say, 10 episodes. Assuming they go hardcore in the Heir to the Empire and they don't meander with filler episodes this way, that way, the other way, can they pull this off? What are the odds based on what we've seen? Is Ahsoka unique like early Mandalorian and Andor, or is it everything else?
Only time could tell when we actually watch the show. Well, I'm pretty sure we'll have a good idea of what this series is going to be 3 episodes in.
That's our standard rule here on the channel. We typically give anything, what do we say, 25% of its run, give or take?
Yeah, just like I give any book 3 I give a book 3 chapters.
Yeah.
If I'm not hooked by 3 chapters, I think I'm just done with the book.
Ain't nobody got time for 100 pages of a 600-page book. That's not how we do. What are your feelings on Ahsoka? Like, assuming they flub it, but it's not awful. Does this string you along for more Mando season 4 for another standalone series, or what would it take for you to pull the plug? Because you're way easier on them than I am.
You know, Mando season 4 won't have Pedro Pascal in it. They've already said that.
If ever.
They said
that no voice at all.
No, he's done. They said that he's done. They're going in a whole another direction with a different Mandalorian at this point.
Oh, because it's what's her name at this point?
No, it's not her. It's someone to be completely new.
I would sign up for that more than I would more Bo-Katan, honestly.
Yeah, it's not going to be Bo-Katan. It's going to be another Mandalorian who's out there who hit hard times and trying to find his way back. They said the only time that they will probably bring in Pedro Pascal would be the season finale as they get them together on the same planet.
Cool. But sign me up for that then. That sounds cool.
That was the initial premise, but I mean, now with the writer's strike and everything else going on, maybe them and more rumors coming out of them packaging Lucasfilms to be sold to another studio.
True.
Which
keep that into account.
I mean, when you have 4 quarters of losses for the first time in the history of ever in
years.
Disney. You have to start thinking about what you're going to do to circle the wagons and build yourself a war chest because you're failing as a business.
Circling the wagons while you're circling the drain. Yeah, that's some dangerous ground to be on. So back to my question though, what does it take to get you to shut it off? What do you need to see in 3 episodes to just be like, I'm out and I'm out with the rest of your shows until somebody I trust vouches for another one? Could you even hit that point?
I mean, that's a lot for me. I mean, I don't watch a lot of their shows just off the thing. Like, wasn't watching Mandalorian until someone told me it was good.
Right.
I was
You're kind of already there.
I was kind of already there. Like, I need validation on a lot of shows before I turn it on, unless it's something that I am a 100% fan of. Like, I'm a fan of the original trilogy, and looking back, some of the prequel trilogies had good moments.
Good ideas for sure.
Yeah.
Good concepts.
And good actors. I did like. Yep. I love what's his name is Obi-Wan. So I think.
Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, I think he was great. Casting of a young Obi-Wan.
Yeah. Perfect.
But yeah, I wasn't going to be like, oh no, a new Star Wars thing, and just turn it on. I'm going to listen to what people are saying first before I go, because my time's valuable. I do a lot of other stuff. Like, I probably would not watch Secret Invasion unless we were going to do it on the show, just because, like, we watched WandaVision, we were okay with it. Like, I wanted to see that. I wanted to see where the new phase was going, since that was the first thing in Phase 4. And,
well, that was basically the show equivalent of sticking Captain Marvel in between Infinity War and Endgame. Like, this is your first thing coming out after Endgame, of course, built, like you said, built-in audience of folks that want to be like, well, now what? Like, they defeated Thanos, the gauntlet's destroyed or whatever, like, we're good. Now what?
And it looked interesting based on like how it was set on TV shows. Like the first, I thought, okay,
concept.
And it did hit a chord. I liked it. I liked seeing the White Vision in it.
Yep.
So I mean, it was okay. didn't need the big bad as it was, but I did enjoy the series overall. I liked Hawkeye because I like Jeremy Renner. I like pretty much anything Jeremy Renner's in. You say Jeremy Renner's in it, I'm pretty much gonna watch it. So I want to see that one. And like I like the PTSD version of Jeremy Renner. Like his hearing's gone. He has a bad back. Like he's a normal human who was out there hanging with the mightiest heroes in the world.
Yeah, yeah.
And I like that play on it. And talk about the play. The play was pretty funny too. Like he's sitting back there and he's like, he wasn't even there.
Oh yeah. That's pretty good.
So
Yeah,
overall, I did enjoy the Hawkeye series. It also brought back Private Pile as the MCU's version
Vincent
of
D'Onofrio, Kingpin.
as Kingpin.
Yeah.
So
True.
I did enjoy that part, and I do like the Hawkeye character as Ronin, which is a complete evil character of Hawkeye. So I enjoyed that one.
Murking people, yeah.
But then it got kind of dumb with everything, and I kind of I didn't go see I liked Spider-Man, of course. I mean, Spider-Man was awesome. It was probably one of the best MCU movies that's come out since the first Avengers. I mean, I really enjoyed Spider-Man.
Yeah, the three of them worked really well together. That's the second half of that movie is about as good as anything they've ever done.
Yeah, and I liked how May took the place of Ben in this universe. I mean, that's a good play.
Interesting take. That's interesting change up. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then
I was just gonna say, like, I think that everything you just said about Marvel is kind of how I feel about the Disney stuff now. And if you and I weren't trying to have these chats, like week to week on whatever they were doing, I don't know that I'd be watching any of this crap, because at the job I had when we started the channel, there weren't a whole lot of people watching it to kind of commiserate. Well, folks watch Walking Dead, folks watch Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, just all these shows over the years, the appointment viewing stuff. And you get into work and be like, oh my God, Jon Snow is dead. Like, is he really dead? Like, when was the last time? And I do a whole lot of work from home now. You're out there on the road. You talk to more people daily than I do. When was the last time anybody that you bumped into at any of the stops you make was talking about anything MCU or anything more specifically Star Wars? Like, I can't remember the time I had a chat with a coworker about any of this stuff. And we're talking about dudes in our bracket, women in our age bracket that are into genre stuff. They're just people that are just out.
And more people I've seen talked me into shows that have been out forever, and like how they're getting back into it.
Yep.
Like Suits. Like people are getting back into Suits. Like it's the highestly streamed acquired TV show in history with 18 billion streams since Netflix took it.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, it is.
That's what I mean. Like, I got more people talking to me about things like Archer and like not C Lab. What's the other one? Oh Jesus, I can't think of it now. It was a Comedy Central cartoon. The main character is like the buff blonde dude with the black t-shirt and the mullet.
Johnny Bravo.
It's probably like these old shows like that. These are the things that people, when I'm out there talking, like when I get occasion to get out to places and they're talking about stuff they're getting back into, they're talking about that stuff, or they're talking about international stuff like the Korean zombie genre. I don't know what it's called. Like all the good stuff, like We Are All Dead or Kingdom. And there's like 3, 4, 5 of them on Netflix that I have to start feeding my Netflix algorithm more by marking them onto my list or having watched a couple of minutes and just so they make more suggestions, because it's better stuff than what we have here. And I just don't know if Ahsoka has, to tie it all back together so we can get into the bonus. I'm X-Files. I'm Mulder on this one. I want to believe Ahsoka will be good, because I think the character is probably the best modern Star Wars character that they have. She's better as a character than the Mandalorian because we know more about her. She connected meaningfully to the things we love about Star Wars. It's got a great A-list talent portraying the role. People love the voice actor that did the role on the Clone Wars. So she's here. She's part of what people want. It's not, I'm afraid this show, it becomes Obi-Wan part 2 for me, where I was like, oh shit, Obi-Wan will be better than Boba Fett. It's got Ewan McGregor. How bad could this be? He's going to tootle around the universe and protect young Luke. And no, it wasn't that. He was a Force Virgina. He protected Leia. Leia was better at him and did more cool shit. And it was creepily pedophilic in some places and weird. And
which also defeats the whole thing of when Yoda
Scientist,
goes,
dude.
where he goes, he's our last. He goes, he's our last hope, and Yoda goes, no,
No,
there's another.
Dude, I know, because you knew there was another, you dipshit. That's what I mean, dude. I don't want this show to be Obi-Wan Part 2. Boba Fett can suck on its own dime. Mandalorian 3 can suck on its own dime. We like Andor, whatever. When we get season 2, we're probably going to love it. I don't want this to suck because I feel like then I won't stick around for anything that isn't something completely unrelated to anything that I like. That way, when shit like The Acolyte comes out, I'm like, all right, so this is you guys' attempt at all original shit. Here we go. And then we just go and we blaze it. You know what I mean? Then we just take some shit down because we know it's going to bite. But, dude, I'll keep all my fingers crossed for this one.
The reason why we think this one might be good, as well as the reason why we like Andor, it's in that time frame that we don't have a lot of information on. Andor is that spy thriller at the beginning of the rebellion, like how it all started. We never seen that in anything that they've portrayed so far. We had the Clone Wars start and the rise of the Empire, and then we seen the rebellion. In the middle of the rebellion, like they were already had rebel bases and they're doing hits and runs, straight guerrilla space warfare, and then we jump ahead 25 years after the fall of the Empire to the sequel trilogies. We didn't see what happened in the middle. Mandalorian started bridging that gap a little bit.
Yep.
And Andor started, Rogue One started bridging that gap a little bit. And then Andor went further back and started bridging that gap a little bit. And I think that's one reason why we want this to be good, because we want to know what happens in that gap. We also want to know what happens at the gap that started the rebellion. So the people who enjoy the movies, who enjoy the storyline, who enjoy space operas, space westerns, whatever you want to call them.
Yep.
They want that gap because you want to fill that story in. Like, they filled the story in. They have books.
No. She said, dude, no.
But those don't exist.
Kathleen Kennedy said there was no source to draw from. None at all. Those are counterfeit books. Don't you know? Those are all
the legends of the world of Star Wars, which all had to be approved by George Lucas before he would let them be printed.
Clearly not canon. Clearly. So the timeline for Ahsoka, then, if I'm understanding it correctly, it's just after the fall of the Empire, Episode 6, right? In that big ass gap of time between the rise of the what the fuck were they even called now? The First Order, or whatever.
Now, the First Order happens pretty much.
That's Episode 7.
The First Order happens pretty much 5 years before Force Awakens.
Okay, right. That's what I'm saying. So Ahsoka is taking place after Return of the Jedi.
Yes.
Before Force Awakens, but closer to the end of Jedi, closer to the end of Episode 6.
Right around Mandalorian Season 2, the end of Mandalorian Season 2.
Which again is weighted just more. It's closer to 6 than it is to 7 if it was on a line. That's what I'm saying.
Because there's still remnants of the Empire out there.
Right. So they're ducking them and trying to find Ezra, and the bad guys are ostensibly probably trying to find Admiral Thrawn, who Ezra kind of pieced out when he jacked the hyperdrive and at the end of Rebels and took him. Okay. All right, dude. Then we'll keep fingers crossed for Ahsoka, dude. I hope it's good. Update on that. They are Wednesday next week. Right?
Starting next week, yes.
All right. So are we going to do our typical, well, actually, you and I probably have to talk after the show about the logistics of that, but our plan for going forward is hopefully the same as we did Secret Invasion, where we might be able to get into it and then give like our reactions after the show as soon as we're done watching. So we'll be on hopefully the same night, but we'll clear that up and we will let you guys know about that. Dude, dip us down into the bonus section and take the mic. This is a you section this week.
All right, so this is what I'm looking forward to. We always talk about how we are kind of looking forward to Ahsoka as we are looking for something, anything to bring us back in the Star Wars world. We're also looking for this for Marvel. And with what's coming out about Daredevil Reborn is very exciting.
Yeah.
One, it's approved for an 18-episode run, which is more than any of the other ones combined. It's also written to be a TV show, meaning that there's going to be cliffhangers after every season, every episode. It's going to build to a point and then trail off. Unlike other Marvel shows, which were, we want to make this a movie. Oh, we don't have the budget to make a movie. Let's cut it into sets real quick. And then now it makes no sense, has no true flow to it. Hence, Secret Invasion. So this is very exciting. Also coming out is that Froggy is coming back.
Oh, really? I
Yes.
thought, oh, cool, very cool. I
They're t-
thought that was I hadn't heard that
and then,
hadn't been included.
and then Cox even said that the girl is coming back. I forget her name, but
That was also a sore spot with a lot of people when I thought it
yeah,
was announced very definitively that neither of them would be. Smart move, casting department. People love those two.
yep. Because I mean, when they do all the stuff they talked about, all you see is Kingpin and Daredevil. The other one
Right.
is that the original person coming back is of the Punisher from the Netflix series as well. He's
Oh
coming back
yeah,
in this.
yeah.
And now it's being said that
He's
people
good.
thought that he was going to be just a cameo. It's more of that he is going to have a more physical role in
Good,
this.
as
Be-
he should.
because the timeline that they're saying is it's taking place shortly after the president pretty much declares war on the scrolls. Is where you're going to have the kickoff point for Born Again, Daredevil
Interesting.
Born. So, and they're going to link it into the vigilante Punisher style people who are running around just killing people, thinking that they're scrolls, randomly shooting, and they're going to adopt the Punisher logo, and the Punisher's going to be like, "No, this isn't
Nah,
happening."
dog.
They're also talking about a extreme police force who also adopts that and starts doing stuff. Excessive force.
That gets a little too into real lifey stuff. They have to play carefully with that with me.
But
They have to play carefully with that.
like it's a special hit squad that's being sent out that's going to be
Right,
wearing
but
it.
see, but that sounds to me. See, all right, I'm sour on that a little bit. I get what you're saying. I get what they're going for, but that's a little bit to me like when I talk about things being too on the nose. That's the same as She-Hulk having a group of online fans that they call intelligentsia, and it's them taking a shot at fans that just don't like what they're doing with the IP. Like them having a special hit squad of cops that have taken that logo and then turning them into actually like a special hit squad of cops is the criticism that the modern character gets from idiot left wingers being like, well, cops use that logo so they can just go out there and be vigilant. He's like, no, it's defiantly used as a representation of like justice by force because that's what you've made us do. You know what I mean? Like we're not afraid of you being not playing by rules. We're still going to get you. So they have to play careful with that. It can't be on the nose. They can do it because corrupt cops is a thing. It's an angle that works in Batman, in Punisher, in Daredevil. They need to chill with it and have it have subtlety, like I'm always saying.
And
Explain the why.
this is the part that where it plays into the subtlety. They actually work for the Kingpin who's running for the mayor of New York City.
Yes, right out
And
of the
he
books.
and he outlaws vigilantism.
Okay. I'm digging that. I'm digging 18 episodes because that's the complaint here. And I think this just confirms so much shit of what we say week to week. And it's not like we're brilliant. We didn't sort this out like the Peter Griffin sketch where we're like in the lab and we got the lasers and the calculators and the computer programs and models. Daredevil is a show you can absolutely make 18 episodes for because it shouldn't cost you 25 million an episode. The fucking guy doesn't have any superpowers. You know what I mean? Like he can't fly. There's no laser beams. There's no claws. You know what I'm saying? Like it's fight choreography and one basic, final cut effect overlay for when he's deaf, but he can hear shit. You know what I mean? It's one effing thing. They should be able to give 18 episodes of this so they can progressively build those dynamics between Daredevil, the Kingpin, the Punisher, the Daredevil's legal staff, and how the run for mayor has all these implications. Take your fucking time. 18 episodes of 22 minutes doesn't get it done though.
I don't know what the actual run times are right now, but it is 18 episodes,
Right.
and they're going with the USA type run of shows. So you have a first half and second half, and a break in the middle. Like you'll get 9 episode run, it'll take a break, and then the next 9 episodes will come in, and then it's already been greenlit for a season 2 of 18 episodes.
That's ballsy. That's ballsy, but I like it. And if this reflects some kind of sea change where they're going to give us shows that have these longer run times that can give us multiple episodes where we can pursue subplots and just don't feel like it's a drive-by shooting of a superhero drama, I'm all for that. I think that should be applied. I want fewer shows with those kind of schedules. That's what I want. I don't need a new Marvel show every 8 weeks. Give me 4 a year for 18 episodes and a break in between to digest. Throw a movie in there.
And then some rumors that are coming out of this
Hit me.
is there's going to be heavy Spider-Man influence into this.
Okay. Dude, again, that fits.
They don't know if he's actually going to show up in the season, but more like a mention. And the person that could be the link of it all is J.J. Jameson, having like a intro to every episode as his news thing.
Dude, interesting, funny. Is the same guy?
Yes.
They gotta have the same guy, right? Oh, dude, love that guy. You serious? Who doesn't love that?
No one else could play J.J. Jameson except him.
That's what I'm saying.
He's been in 3 different universes.
Dude, he's the man, dude. And again, I love the meme that throws it out there. You know how in your last minutes, people show you who they really are, and then it's the Green Goblin having Jameson by the throat. You know, who is Spider-Man? He goes, don't know. He drops his shit off and goes. Never dimed him out. Just saying. Could have told him where to find him. Didn't do it. But anyway. Yeah, dude, then maybe this is the first of, you know, it takes a giant ship like Disney and Marvel time to course correct and turn. They don't stop on a dime. So if this is the beginning of a re-envisioning of how these properties should work, I'm all for it. You know, I don't take the Marvel shows as seriously as I want to take Star Wars. So I don't care if another Marvel show bombs, but it's a lot to just be sucky consistently, and so much of their track record. You can't. I mean, the stands that stand for it they can't even do it transparently anymore, because the numbers are out there now, because we're removed from the end of these shows, and we have more leaks than ever coming out to tell us that like Secret Invasion had a budget of $250 million for 6 episodes. What is this, Rings of Power? Where did they spend $250 million on that show in 6 episodes? That one scene in Samuel L. Jackson's salary? Like, sorry, don't buy it. You know, this is why visual effects unions are starting to form. You know, like I don't get where they spend the money, but it's bloated and that needs to stop. They could give us another Punisher show for not $250 million. They can give us Daredevil. They can bring back any of the people that ended up on Defenders for not $100 million.
They're talking about a lot of them are coming back. Jessica Jones is one of them that they're bringing back, which is one I didn't really care for. I don't like the actress that much. I'm just
I do like is that Kristen Ritter? I do like her.
Now I do like the guy who played Luke Cage, and they're talking about that they've already signed him to come back as Luke Cage.
Cool. I'll take it. That was all right.
Yeah, the only one I don't think they're in contact with is Iron Fist.
Yeah, don't need it because that show was bad. That show was trash. Yeah, don't need that. So I guess we just have to wait and see what happens. Do we know what the next is? Daredevil supposed to be next, or do we not have a next because of the strike?
They were believing that was going to come out at the end of this year, but it's looking more like summer of next year.
So that means Agatha is what we have next, because I think Coven of Chaos is supposed to be Christmas this year, I believe. Because I believe that was in the can pre-strike.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this has been changed due to strike, because they were trying to get stuff done to put in there, and then I had like that filler area, but
we'll have to do some digging before we get our next show together. All right, dude, I think we're done here. I think we covered our bases. We're getting long in the tooth. Runtime. What are we doing logistically next week? Is this a wait and see so we can see how it goes with the new setup? Because Kingsley will be on the road, undisclosed location, back up at the Great White North doing some things. What are you thinking?
I'll have to test to see what the internet's going to be like where I'm going. That's going to be the big play on everything. Once I find that out, which I'll find out on Sunday, I'll be able to set stuff up and run some tests. So
run some tests. Okay. All right. Now, do we want to tentatively say, all things being equal, with the internet being okay and the setup working, we'll watch Ahsoka Wednesday and then reconvene and talk same night like we did for Secret Invasion? Go for like a half hour?
We possibly could do that. We could possibly do that.
And then we'll go for broke and see what we can do for Winter's Watch next Thursday, hopefully.
Yep. And if not, you're going to get some pre-recorded content from us. And still trying to stick to the same timeline of 9:30 Eastern, 8 o'clock Central, because Homeboy's going to be in the lesser time zone of the Central time zone.
Yeah, there you go. So we got a slight change. Just remember 9:30 Eastern, and then look it up on your phones. That's what you kids are going to do anyway. But all right, Kingsley, why don't you say goodbye to everybody? I'll say goodbye to everybody, and then just get us out of here, dude. I'm hungry.
Hungry?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hungry.
Well, it's been great. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe so you can come back, catch all of our new content as it comes out. We are planning some great things for horror season, which is right around the corner. We are also planning some great things with this show, trying to move it to the next level. Also, go hit up our Facebook page. We have a Facebook page up and running. Links in the description. So go ahead and hit that link over there, like the page so you don't miss any of our funny stuff that we put there as we try to get better with our socials.
Which we're definitely going to try and do. And I like to point out that we made it through this episode without having any major technical difficulties of audio going out or video going out or anything else. So the big things up for big thumbs up for King Z. All right, dude. Guys, we'll see you later. We appreciate you dropping by. We'd love to hear any discussion points in the comments below. Just we really want to get engagement going just in terms of the talks. We don't really care so much about anything else besides that. We just want to talk nerd stuff with people that either love or hate the same stuff we love or hate. But I've said enough. King Z, get us out of here. We'll see you guys next week, Wednesday and Thursday if we're lucky. Later, guys.